Hello Internet, welcome to the weekly reset, Taliesin and Evitel's wondrous wisdom show in a week where class tuning and PTR updates are coming thick and fast because it is just a week before 10.1 Embers of Neltharion launches. So we're going to do a roundup of everything regarding that, and we are going to have a big talk about a new Datamined cinematic and how it relates to the future of the Night Elves. So, you know, I hope you like Night Elves. Honestly, even if you hate Night Elves and you just like to see them suffer, you're probably going to be alright too. So let's get started. Firstly, there's the work order UI improvements on the PTR, meaning it is even less likely that you will accidentally pick up and fulfill work orders that end up costing you gold from those absolute dastards and the dastardly public orders that they put up where they're all like, ooh, I'll give you 2,000 gold to do this order. Hope you've got 8 awakened essences in your bags. I'm on to you, you rapscallions. There is the Datamined Diablo 4 launch event. We don't actually know anything about the event yet, but which rewards some pretty cool stuff like Vert's leg. Yeah, I say Vert, I'm European, get over it. Weapon appearances, the Chris Metzen looking Balial red goat pet. I don't care what anyone says, this goat is modelled on Chris Metzen. You can tell by his beautiful hoop earring and the fact that obviously Metzen is the goat. And best of all, a banner, and even bester of all, a treasure sack back piece, which is legitimately awesome and very thematic, not just for Diablo 4, but the next WoW expansion, which is pirate themed. It'll be useful is all I'm saying. The Aberrus LFR schedule is out, and it turns out there was a really interesting reason why Blizzard didn't want to reveal the complete LFR schedule straight away. No, it's exactly the same as Season 1, with the first wing launching on day 1 of Season 2, along with normal, heroic, and mythic, and then the remaining 3 wings arriving every 2 weeks after that. June the 19th being the day that the final encounter against Scale Commander Sakareth goes live. Still no official word on exactly how long we'll have to wait for the revival catalyst to get going for Season 2 pieces, but it seems a safe bet it will be at least the 6 weeks wait that it was for Season 1. There hasn't really been any indication from Blizzard that it will be shorter this time out. There's a new Shadowflame Wreath enchantment available to test on the PTR, which occasionally procs for ticking Shadowflame damage, but whatever, who cares? It's a Shadowflame enchantment, so it's going to make your weapon look all Shadowflamey, right? And that automatically makes it BIS, because I am a total stan for anything Shadowflamey going into 10.1. That shit is legit. Load me and my weapons up on that purpley orangey goodness. Except, I think it's probably fair to warn you, this enchantment doesn't make your weapon look like anything currently, and the proc effect is just a single little tiny puff of Shadowflame effect a couple of times every minute, which you'll never really notice, which sucks. My official assessment of this is that it is a bad enchantment, especially because the recipe is a rare drop from Magmorax in the raid, and you need to go through the faff of using a Shadowflame incantation table to apply it, which would be fine if it made your weapon look baller and Shadowflamey, but it doesn't though, so dead enchantment, total trash. There is a cool baller Shadowflame effect that you can get as a reward from Season 2 PvP though, so boo. But at least there's a new healer weapon enchant though, and the Spore Tender pushes the Bard support fantasy all the way, causing your healing spells and abilities to sometimes grant a chunk of the highest secondary stat to your target. And yeah, at last, look, you've all been telling me how much you want a third support evoker spec based around buffing your team and helping them out, helping them become the best that they can possibly be, being the oil that keeps the cog of the machine turning. So obviously everyone thinks this enchantment is brilliant. Absolutely no one in the universe wanted this. Damn, can't wait to be forced into this enchant and lose out on a weapon enchant because healers aren't people. So basically every healer just got nerfed the amount of one weapon enchantment. I mean, I like the idea, but I like to top charts on healing too. What? No! It turns out that the healing community isn't into an enchant which might as well be called Bottom Heal the Log Killer. Well, I am amazed. Of course, with 10.1 so close, this is the week when we will see interviews and blue posts really go into overdrive for the patch. And it's wild to think that in just 2 weeks, we will have seen the Aberrus raid ending cinematic, and whatever that reveals, with probably a 10.1.5 reveal coming very soon after that, if the rest of the expansion is anything to go by, and then hitting the PTR a couple of weeks after that, with a new mega dungeon and all sorts. Dragonflight, it kind of rocks, it's official. But, speaking of cinematics, to the big debate of the week, and it's a debate not about tuning or features or balance, relevance, but about story. And specifically, the story of the Night Elves via Tyrande and the World Tree. And this involves not just Datamined voice lines, a Datamined voice line, but also a whole entire Datamined cinematic, which lasts 16 seconds. So this is a red bot spoiler bot, but I should probably warn you that it's not really much of a spoiler at all. So this is at your discretion, and I guess I'm just going to show you the whole cinematic, like right now.
For soon, Azeroth will welcome from the dream a symbol of hope, and together we shall protect it.
Obviously, there is a link to the relevant Wowhead article below, and what we have seen here is clearly the new World Tree, which we planted in the Valdrakken Renown questline, filled with the souls of the Night Elves that were the victims of Teldrassil, and who we rescued from the Maw, a big cutscene at the end of Shadowlands. So this new clip is basically an update on the tree's progress, and you've got to say, it is doing extraordinarily well. It took around 5 years to grow Teldrassil, which was fast. Like, that is some classic all-time tree growing right there. But this bad boy looks on course to do even better than that, already poking above the canopy of where it's growing in the Emerald Dream, with the Ardenweald's starry visuals suggesting that it is those souls inside the seed really powering its growth. The iridescent blue wispy trails seeming to mark out the path that the tree's growth will take and the shape that the tree will eventually form. Soon, you know, because the file name of this cinematic suggests it is 10.1 content, which means all of this growth was achieved in just one major patch. You'd have to imagine that this tree is going to be fully grown and operational by the end of the expansion at the latest, wouldn't you? That is certainly the impression that the accompanying narration from Alextraza gives too. Soon, Azeroth will welcome from the dream a symbol of hope. This tree is happening in Dragonflight, for sure. Which won't be much of a surprise to anyone, to be honest, but it's still very exciting, isn't it? Especially for Night Elf players, who, it's fair to say, have been through the emotional ringer in the last 5 years or so. Seeing Ysera killed in Legion before Teldrassil was burned down at the beginning of BFA, before taking Darkshore back in the 10.1 Warfront, but only after their leader had become the Night Warrior of Elune and her angriest self, before the war criminal that was responsible for the loss of their home escaped into the afterlife, while said Night Warrior-possessed leader disappeared in pursuit, leaving her people to be refugees in Stormwind, while she didn't kill Sylvanas and then did get cured of her self-destructive Night Wardenness by Elune herself, which is also where the seed comes from, before becoming Sylvanas' sentencer, yay! Before losing her husband in Ardenweald, boo, so that Ysera could come back and save the Emerald Dream from a primalist attack. Basically, the Night Elf population have totally earned their new home at this point, which, according to Malfurion, is precisely what this new World Tree will be. And the fact that this long-awaited catharsis, 5 years in the making, is set to happen now in Dragonflight is obviously a massive deal, a defining moment in WoW history, and one that, as you can imagine, Night Elf players are hyped about, especially on the forums, where longtime Nelfheads were over the moon about their upcoming new digs and the story, but more so the closure that will come with it. Chatting excitedly and enthusiastically about finally having a new tree to call their own, to finally be able to say, I don't understand how they could be so stupid. Uh-oh, this can't be real. They must hate Night Elves. Oh no. Doomed IDK, why I expected anything decent. No, it was a shit show, obviously. Hilariously poor decisions by the narrative team continue to amaze. It's like Blizz has some instinctual need to make the dumbest story decisions ever. Just fishing ruffle, Mao. This is awful. I'm not even a Night Elf player, and this shit is offensive. This is a spicy topic right now, and it's one that a lot of people care an awful lot about, which makes it actually incredibly difficult to talk about. If you aren't a big Nelf fan, then you may be wondering what the big problem here actually is. So, as opinion-free as I can, the idea is that if the new World Tree, which Malfurion has said will be the race's new home, is grown in the Dragon Isles, then it is bad for a number of reasons. One, it places a major racial capital off of the old world and onto an expansion zone, which would traditionally expect to see less attention and less relevance in expansions going forward, as I think Draenei and Blood Elves can attest. Two, it takes the Night Elves off of their traditional home of Kalimdor, where they have been based since Kalimdor as we know it was created in the Sundering 10,000 years ago. And ancestry is important. 3, that would also leave Kalimdor entirely to the Horde, which would basically mean that the Horde belatedly won in their objectives for the Fourth War, being narratively rewarded for the war crime of, like, the burning of Teldrassil by inheriting all of the abandoned Night Elf territory after they shit off to hang with the Green Dragons in the Isles forever. And the question is, are these fair concerns and objections? Before I answer that, let me give my own qualifications. My first ever character in World of Warcraft was a Night Elf. The first zone I ever entered was the Night Elf starting zone. The first city I ever saw in game was Darnassus. I currently have 2 max level Night Elf characters on my main EU account. A druid that I've played for over 11 years called Swiftleaf, and a hunter called Finel, who, well, if you know your Night Elf lore, you should be able to work out when I created her. And so I don't claim to be an aficionado in the way that many are, but Night Elves are one of my favorite races in the game. I am rooting for them, and even if I weren't, I love WoW and WoW lore, so it's kind of impossible not to know a lot about Night Elves, right? Most of the history of the game is based around them, really. So, concern 1. Is having the new world tree in the Dragon Isles bad? Because, no, actually, hang on, wait there, because all of these concerns are based on the assumption that the new world tree will be in the Dragon Isles. So it's probably worth pointing out that nowhere does it say that is what's going to happen in this Datamined cinematic at all. There is no more evidence that the new home of the Night Elves will be in the Dragon Isles now than there was the day before anyone saw this clip. The tree is currently growing in the Emerald Dream, and the implication is that it will manifest on Azeroth when it's ready, and that could be anywhere. Now, it's true, I'm with most people in thinking that it will be the Dragon Isles. I have made videos saying so before the alpha even opened, and then again when we saw the huge basin next to the Emerald Gardens, which definitely looks designed to fit a new world tree. And logistically that would make sense too. It lets Blizz build a zone specifically for the tree to go into without having to add another phase to an existing old world location. I think it will be here. I think there is going to be a patch based on the Emerald Dream this expansion. Another thing that I think has been pretty obvious since before the game launched, and it seems very likely to me that the raid of that patch will be on the world tree, defending it against the Incarnate's attack. That raid could happen with the tree in the dream, or with the tree out of the dream in the Plains Basin, or a mixture of the two, and it would seem to be a pretty brilliant place to have the dragon riding raid boss that I've been dreaming about as well. By the way, just mentioning, but whatever, that's a different story. Okay, so concern 1. Would it suck because it puts Night Elf's capital in an expansion zone? That's not a criticism that I'm especially bothered with, to be honest, mostly because I love the Dragon Isles. I think it's an expansion zone which is going to be a regular location that we return to in the future. I like the idea that everything around the new capital would be the modernest, shiniest, best looking WoW to date. And as far as relevance goes, before BFA, Darnassus was a complete ghost town on Argent Dawn EU. So worst case scenario, it would see as much use as that, especially if it has good transport links, which it should. There is a spare, unused portal right now in the Emerald Dreamway, and if that was put in the new capital, so that all Night Elves, not just Druids, could teleport to Nordrassil and Grizzly Hills and Duskwood and Feralis and the Hinterlands at will, that would actually be very cool and unique and useful and help keep the location relevant wherever it is. So no, I'm okay with it being in the Dragon Isles from that point of view, but concern number 2, leaving their ancestral home of Kalimdor. Now, this is a big shout, and one that I am very, very sympathetic to. The Night Elves, as a race, have always lived on Kalimdor since the Sundering, specifically because they were looking after Nordrassil on Mount Hyjal, the world tree that was planted in the wake of the Well of Eternity being destroyed in the Sundering, and which was blessed by the dragon aspects, most notably Nosdormu, which is why the Night Elves were immortal. Another reason why saying that Night Elves have no connection to the dragons or the Dragon Isles is kind of wrong. Of course, Nordrassil got blown up in Warcraft 3, which is when Teldrassil was grown turbo-style in its place, but canonically, there is still a reasonable Night Elf presence on Mount Hyjal, nurturing it back to health, and that's important, because if the new world tree and official home of the Night Elves is on the Dragon Isles, it doesn't mean that Night Elves have to leave Kalimdor. They still have the presence at Nordrassil. They still control Darkshore, according to both BFA and Exploring Kalimdor. They hold Feralis. Those that choose to live in the New World Tree will leave Kalimdor, like the refugees in Stormwind. But it's also reasonable to assume that lots of Night Elves won't. Lots will stay exactly where they are, in their homes. Not every Night Elf lived in Darnassus, and not every Night Elf needs a new home in the new tree. Like, astronomical numbers of Italians and Irish left their countries in the 19th century to start a new life in America. But if you go to Italy now, it's not empty. You can still find Italians in Italy. I know, I've checked. And this does link to concern number 3, the most compelling argument, I think, the idea that setting up in the Dragon Isles leaves Kalimdor to the Horde, an idea I completely agree is problematic, because the Horde being narratively rewarded for, well, Blizz call it attempted genocide, so I will, is not a great look, you know? I know that there's a lot of players who crave the catharsis of Teldrassil itself being rejuvenated and regrowing, a symbolic victory and regeneration, and I am so sympathetic to that. Although I admit it's not something that ever crossed my mind. For some reason, I always assumed Teldrassil was done, and wherever the new tree was, would be somewhere else. I genuinely didn't know a new Teldrassil was something people were hoping for, and sadly, I don't think it's on the cards. It would mean a 3rd phase on Darkshore, and Exploring Kalimdor kind of makes a point of mentioning that everything is dead there. But like I say though, I don't think the Night Elves setting up base in the Dragon Isles would mean them leaving Kalimdor, especially if the Emerald Dreamway portal is there, which it totally should be. I am totally on board with this concern. I agree with it. I just don't think that would necessarily happen. And honestly, I completely agree with the sentiment that, you know, it's just nicer to have all the Night Elves still on Kalimdor, because that's where they've always been. Just like emotionally, I am very much into that point. So I think, yeah, overall, I agree that I would like to see the Night Elves stay on Kalimdor. So if the new tree is going to be in the Dragon Isles, it has to facilitate that. It has to be a base from which Night Elves are able to maintain and even fortify their Kalimdor territories at Hyjal and Feralis and re-establish themselves in Ashenvale. I would really like to see a new phasing of Nordrassil added along with the new Dragon Isles tree, showing the progress of the tree there and with a healthy Night Elf population in attendance. If the dragons get their aspect powers back, I would like to see the new tree be blessed again, and maybe that could help the rejuvenation of Darkshore. Maybe that could mean the Night Elves being immortal again. Who knows? I think there are ways this could absolutely work. The Night Elves have lived in Kalimdor since their inception, but that was as much because of their role as protectors of the tree at Hyjal as anything else. If they can still do that and protect the dream, and better from the Dragon Isles, it could work. So purely my opinion, honestly, Dragonflight is so good so far that it's kind of earned my trust. I'm wary of the new tree being in the Dragon Isles, sure, but I'm willing to just, like, not harass any Blizz staff just for a bit before we see how they do it. I think one thing we know for sure is that you are never going to please everyone, but it would certainly be nice if most Night Elf players felt they got a big win finally, you know? Hi, Evie.
Hi.
Nice sofa.
It feels great to be back on the sofa again.
We do the same joke every week, and it's always good. Never not funny, the whole sofa joke.
No, exactly. It's like Groundhog Day.
Next week is patch 10.1.
That's amazing.
Embers of Neltharion.
Wow.
Are you looking forward to it?
Yes. I mean, am I ready? Mentally, yes. Game-wise? Actually, yeah, too. I feel like... Oh,
really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we're in a situation now where, you know, we have had the entirety of 10.0, 10.0.05, and 10.07, right? I think 10.07 in particular, like, how do you feel at that? Now it's coming to an end. Now it's coming to a close, that patch. Where are we at with that, do you think? How can we rate it?
10.07 out of 10.07.
Oh, what?
So here's the thing. I'm really glad it exists. I think it's really good. I think it's really useful. Like, I went hard for a few days, you know, and it came out and everyone's like, yeah! And then it kind of petered out a little bit. Like, there's loads more stuff that I could technically do.
Do you go into the vault every week?
I don't.
What?
I stopped going into the vault. I know.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think, like, to carry on the story with the Black Dragons and, like, getting their artifacts and things, from a story point of view, it's worth going in there. But,
useful,
you know, from a power point of view, no point.
No, exactly. And I got my ring, like, instantly. Like you said, we were talking about last time, it's extremely simple to get your ring. as you want it to be. And you know,
It's never simple for me to get my ring how I want it to be.
I'm sorry,
It
babe.
takes hours of preparation. Why do you think these videos always take so long to come?
I lost the time and motivation, honestly, just to fly around looking for rares to drop keys.
Sure.
Like, I reached a certain point mentally where I'm like, I don't have time for this anymore. You know what I mean?
Well,
you have to decide.
I feel like the longevity and the enjoyment of 10.07 is very much dependent on how many alts you have. Like, I think there was a good week or two's worth of like just solid entertainment from it, no matter what, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
And then, there was like maybe a few hours a week or a couple of hours a week if you just wanted to log on and like get the story and stuff. And you know, if you had 10.0 kind of things to do, like Keystone Master or you know, completing your raid progress and things like that the patch gave you that kind of extra boost of power that you might have needed to do that if you were struggling. And so I've been on a mad kind of like alt collecting mission.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Like, because you can get like the normal raid sets and the heroic raid sets just from doing the thing, and then doing the time walking kind of weeks as well, where you get a piece of heroic gear every week. That's like 6 pieces of heroic gear as well, which
amazing.
for alts is really good. Could honestly, I don't do it on my main, but it could pop something really useful for my main as well.
Same.
Honestly,
Yeah. Oh, it definitely would have popped something useful for my main. So yeah, so there's actually loads of stuff that I still could have done, but you know, just didn't get around to. But I think just knowing that 10.1 is around the corner, like it made it feel really good. The Bane storyline and those quests, I thought that was super cool. It was really nice to just kind of get dragged back into like the Onaran Plains, which my rep with the Centaur is still like this big. It's fine.
Did you get Keystone Master?
No, but I never get Keystone Master.
Okay. Did you get Curve?
I got Curve.
Okay,
Thanks,
success.
Guild.
Brilliant.
Yeah, exactly.
You obviously got your 4 set and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, I've got like a 5 set, 6 set, babe.
You definitely haven't got a 6 set.
I know I don't.
You're just talking about your abs now.
Yeah.
Did you collect every single dragon riding glyph?
No, I haven't gotten around to doing that
Because you
yet.
have never been the possessor of all available dragon riding glyphs from day one.
No. And
How many have you got?
almost all of them. There are just a couple of missing, you know, from just corners you wouldn't normally fly through. Yeah, because that is a task that requires me to just like pull up Wowhead and look at a map and find out where the other glyphs are. And that's, again...
Or pay attention to your dragon when he starts, like, roaring at you, telling you about it.
I always do. But that is on my list of just, like, basic maintenance that I just need to get done, which I will do soon.
Cool. You're now in progress. How is that with... Because you mentioned the Centaur wasn't great.
Yeah, it's bad.
What about your others?
They're also not great.
Wait. Have you done all the story quests at least? Have you done the Tyrande story quest with the seed and things like that? And
like I did the Marithra thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you did.
Yeah.
Have you done the Tuskar village one?
I absolutely have not. No. So yeah.
This is like a disaster.
I know. So I'm super behind on
Yeah,
that.
you really are.
Is there?
I think I might cut this bit. It's embarrassing. Unfortunately, that's our our dynamic at the moment. Is I'm much more involved with the game than you are. We're both playing it, plenty, but you're playing it on a different level at the moment because of various life things, right? Which is, and you know, if it wasn't my job, if I wasn't streaming it and what have you, like I would be able to play it a lot less. And so yeah, it's hard, man. Next week, as well as the new patch, there is also a new trading post.
Yeah.
What are you hoping to see on it?
Oh, well, it's funny because I was hoping for a really cool dragon mount, and getting the purple slithery boy was great. And of course, we're getting more slithery boys.
Yeah, like a dragon riding slithery boy.
Oh, yes. I'm so excited to see how it like flies and feels and stuff. I want a really sick male set. I just really want a really cool male set this time around.
Yeah.
Just like a really good one.
That's not much to ask, surely.
Well, you know,
surely that's not
funny.
much to ask.
It's funny you mention it, but when it comes to WoW, it is often a lot to ask.
Yeah.
When it comes to male.
Yeah.
We've had like a few good ones, and oh my god, the new ones coming up are like unbelievable.
Oh yeah,
Just
the Black Dragon ones and things.
The Black Dragon ones are insane.
Banging. And have you seen the Datamined ones that people think might be from the trading post?
Ooh.
Which are they are kind of like conquistador. Kind of new world type things.
Okay.
You know, like with the set from
the shop set.
shop set from last one. I've said this on stream. next expansion, man's the pirate expansion.
Yeah,
I'm certain of it. Yeah, I think with those transmogs that have been coming out recently, and all the talk about Night School in the books and things, like I've been saying it for ages now. Okay. Ever since that book, I've been like, yeah, and there's been so much like hinting at pirate stuff.
Okay.
Even on like the Forbidden Reach and stuff like that. I'll do a video about it nearer the
course
time,
you
because
will.
another prediction for you this week, BlizzCon announcement.
What do you think?
Mark my words, BlizzCon announcement
week?
this week. Yeah, or maybe next week.
Okay. Isn't that
Some
kind of
weeks soon. Some weeks very soon.
Isn't that exactly when Ybarra said they would do an announcement?
Oh, Ybarra said they would do an
Yeah,
announcement?
he said like a month ago that in a month they're going to announce something.
Oh, well, in that case, I mean, I
Or
stand
maybe I
by
made
it.
that
No, you've given me a lot of confidence in my prediction. And another prediction for you for BlizzCon?
Oh yeah, tell me.
November.
Oh, shocker. Although, if you wanted to be edgy,
Don't
you
forget,
could be
guys,
like,
don't forget, if
end of
Taliesin was
October.
right. No. If it's in November, then Taliesin was right, okay? Like, that's just a fact. Taliesin was right, everyone, okay?
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see what's on the trading post. I can't wait
Me
to
too.
see how the patch launch goes. And I can't wait to play the new patch. Thank you for being here for us and watching this video. Hope you liked it. If you didn't, downvote the shit out of it. No, that's not how we usually do it.
No, you missed an important bit.
I hope you liked it. If you did like it, don't thank us, thank our patrons and give their
That's
actual real life money to make all of our work happen. Thank you. Absolutely, definitely going to do some Patreon videos this week.
Yes.
That's absolutely on our list. It has to happen.
It does.
Because we haven't done one for a couple of months.
Oh,
Because
God.
we're stupid because we've been so busy. But from now on, 2 a month.
2 a month.
I'm making that promise right now.
You've made promises like that before,
This
Telly.
time I mean it. Do you know how I know?
How?
Pinky promise.
Yeah, this is some
Fact.
marital commitment right
Yeah.
here.
Commitment to you. Marital commitment to you, the patrons.
Yes.
If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name's Mike Ybarra. No, my name is Taliesin from me.
The Evitel.
Until next time, cheerio.